The night I caught them whispering in the hallway, something in my stomach turned, and I wasn't sure if it was jealousy, betrayal, or just finally waking up. I wish I could say I had a bad feeling from the beginning, that I noticed the signs and ignored them, but the truth is, I opened the door and welcomed the whole mess in with both arms. My sister Paige moved in with me on a rainy Tuesday in late February. She showed up with a suitcase, 2 garbage bags full of clothes, and a half-empty bottle of red wine she insisted we drink for old times. Her breakup with her boyfriend of 3 years had apparently ended in a full-blown screaming match outside of a dive bar in Prince George. And being the responsible older sister, I told her to pack her stuff and come stay with me in Vancouver. Just for a little while, just until she got back on her feet. I had no idea what I was inviting in. I live in a small but cozy 2-bedroom condo in East Van, about 20 minutes from downtown. I bought it 3 years ago, scraped together the down payment from freelancing, side hustles, and way too many skipped dinners. It's my space. Quiet, clean, private, or it was. Paige walked in, dropped her bags, and within hours had taken over half my closet space, claimed the good bathroom towels, and started calling Colin roomy with this flirty tone I didn't love. Colin, for his part, didn't seem to notice. He just smiled, shrugged, and went back to his laptop like always. Colin and I had been dating for 4 years. We met through mutual friends at a game night, bonded over terrible wine and even worse board games, and never really left each other's orbit after that. He's quiet, dependable, smart, works in IT for a small firm. Not the most expressive guy, but he always made me feel safe, until he didn't. The first few days with Paige were fine. She helped cook, cleaned up after herself, even offered to buy groceries once. But it didn't take long before little things started to change. She began borrowing my clothes without asking. Not a huge deal, but still annoying. Then she started making these little comments about Colin, like, "You're so lucky he does the dishes," or, "Wow, I can't believe he just folds laundry without being told." At first, I brushed it off as Paige being Paige. Dramatic, emotional, prone to putting people on pedestals. But then I noticed her lingering a little too long when they talked, laughing too loud at his corny jokes, touching his arm when there was no need to. Still, I said nothing. I didn't want to be the paranoid girlfriend or the controlling sister. I figured the tension was in my head. Then one night, I came home from work late. Colin was on the couch watching a movie. Paige was next to him, blanket over both of their laps. They both jumped when I walked in. Like actual flinch jump, like guilty teenagers caught kind of jump. I said, "What's going on?" With a half smile, trying not to let my heart pound too loud, Paige laughed first. "We were just watching that dumb horror movie you hate," Colin nodded too quickly. She picked it, I was about to go to bed. They both stood up too fast, and the blanket slipped off. My robe was in her lap. My stomach turned, but I just said, "Cool," and went to the bathroom. I sat on the edge of the tub and stared at the wall for 10 straight minutes. Something was wrong, and I couldn't pretend it wasn't anymore. The next morning, I brought it up to Colin while Paige was out. "Is everything okay between us?" I asked carefully. He blinked at me like I'd asked if the sun was still in the sky. "Of course. Why wouldn't it be?" I shrugged. "You just seem off. I don't know. Distant." He smiled, leaned over, and kissed my forehead. "You're overthinking again." That used to comfort me. Now it felt like a distraction. A few days later, Erica came over. Erica's been my best friend since college. Sharp, hilarious, and zero tolerance for BS. We sat on the balcony, sipping hard seltzers and watching the sky shift to that soft purplish haze just before sunset. "She's being weird," I told her. Define weird. Like touchy with Colin. Laughing too much, sitting too close, borrowing my stuff without asking. Always around him. Erica raised one eyebrow. "You think she's into him?" I opened my mouth to say no, but the words didn't come. Instead, I said, "I don't want to think that. She's my sister. That doesn't mean she's not capable of doing something selfish." "I'd sound crazy if I said anything." "No," she said. "You'd sound like a woman who notices things." That night, I lay in bed pretending to sleep. I could hear them whispering in the hallway. I couldn't make out the words, but it was laughter, then silence, then more whispering. I felt like I was slowly going insane. Every time I asked myself if I was imagining it, something new would happen. Paige started working from home more. Even though she used to be out all day, Colin suddenly changed his phone password. I'd catch them exchanging glances across the room, then looking away too fast. It was like watching a movie I didn't want to be in. The breaking point came the following weekend. I came home from getting groceries and found them sitting on the floor of the living room. A photo album I'd made for Colin's birthday last year was open between them. One of the pages was folded back like it had been flipped through quickly. When they saw me, they both jumped. Again, Colin said, "Hey." A little too casual. Paige said nothing. She just looked guilty. Like full-body guilty. I set the bags down and walked straight to my room without saying another word. I sat on my bed, heart racing, chest tight, palms sweaty. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat still and let the truth land. They were doing something behind my back. Whether it was emotional or physical didn't matter anymore. What mattered was that they didn't think I'd notice. And maybe worse, they didn't think I'd do anything about it. The next morning, I didn't say a word. I made coffee like usual. Paige walked past me in my hoodie, Colin's favorite one, and didn't even blink. Colin kissed me goodbye like always, but his lips felt colder. I nodded, smiled, and said, "Have a good day." Then I picked up my phone. "Erica," I said when she answered. "I need your help. It's worse than I thought." You ever try to prove something that only lives in your gut? It's like trying to take a picture of a shadow. Everyone tells you it's not there, but you know it moved. That's where I was. After that morning, I stopped giving Paige the benefit of the doubt. I stopped brushing things off. I started writing them down. I had a notes app full of tiny moments. Paige wearing Colin's hoodie again. Colin pausing his screen every time I walked in. Their laughing suddenly going silent when I entered the room. The way she called him C now, like it was some inside joke. It wasn't hard proof. But it was real, and I needed someone to believe me. I called my mom. Bad idea. The second I brought up my suspicions, she sighed like I was already exhausting her. "Ava, don't be dramatic," she said. "Paige just got out of a bad breakup. She's probably just clinging to familiarity. Colin's safe." "He's safe because he's mine, Mom," I said flatly. "Oh, don't start with the territorial thing. You've always been so possessive." Click. I hung up. I stared at the phone for a long time before tossing it across the couch. That conversation didn't just piss me off. It hurt in the old way. The way she used to talk when we were kids. Paige was always just emotional, just tired, just trying her best. I was always too much. I told Erica everything. I read her my notes. I told her about the photo album, the whispers, the stolen clothes, the silence. She didn't laugh. She didn't even blink. "Okay," she said. "We catch them." I blinked. "We what?" "You're not crazy. I can feel it. You just need to see it." She pulled out her phone and started Googling. Within 5 minutes, she had a cheap motion-detecting camera with audio in her cart. Next day delivery. "You good with that?" I stared at her like she just told me she could read minds. "Yeah, cool. We'll hide it in the bookshelf." I felt sick when it arrived. It wasn't about the money. It was $38. It wasn't even about the legality. This was my house. It was about what it would mean if I caught something. Part of me hoped I wouldn't. That I was just a tired, paranoid woman imagining her boyfriend and her sister acting shady. But the other part? That part was already grieving. The first few days, the camera caught nothing. I reviewed the footage at night with Erica like we were on some private sting operation. She brought snacks and a blanket. I brought anxiety. We saw them watching TV, cooking, walking past each other. Normal stuff. Until Thursday. I had stayed late at work for a client call. By the time I got home, Colin was already in bed. He said he was tired. Didn't kiss me goodnight. I didn't sleep. I waited until the next morning, made my coffee like usual, and opened the app. There it was, 10:46 p.m. Motion detected. I tapped the clip. Colin walking from the kitchen to the hallway. Seconds later, Paige followed. She looked around. Then walked into his room. She didn't come out for 18 minutes. I replayed it 5 times. No kiss, no sound, no touching. But she was in his room, and he didn't stop her. I stared at the screen like it would change if I watched it enough. Erica was quiet. Then she said, "Want to keep watching or want to plan what happens next?" I didn't confront them that morning. I needed more. So I left for work early. Then looped back around and sat in my car for an hour. At 9:13 a.m., Colin left the condo. At 9:27 a.m., Paige left too. Purse, makeup, keys, they were in the same clothes as the night before. No sign of me, no concern about being seen, like they weren't hiding anything at all, or like they thought I was too stupid to catch on. I called in sick to work that day. I sat on the couch, numb. I kept telling myself it might be innocent, that they weren't kissing or touching or saying anything inappropriate. But there's something worse than physical cheating. It's emotional cheating. It's knowing someone is choosing another person in private over you. Colin came home that night with takeout. "Pad Thai, your favorite," he said, setting it down on the counter. I stared at him. "Thanks." He kissed my cheek. I didn't kiss him back. I texted Erica. It's happening. They're not even subtle anymore. Time for the final move? Yeah, let's end it. I told them I wanted to host a small dinner, just the 5 of us. Me, Colin, Paige, our mom, and Erica. I said it was a family check-in, since things had been tense. They bought it instantly. Guilt makes people desperate to pretend things are normal. The night of the dinner, I dressed up, not in a petty way, just in a way that reminded me I still had control. I wore a black fitted dress Colin used to love. I put on earrings Paige always borrowed, and I set the table with the good plates. Everyone arrived around 7. My mom brought wine. Erica brought pie. Paige brought her smug smile. Colin brought his usual charm. We sat, we laughed, we ate, until dessert. That's when I stood up and pulled the small Bluetooth speaker from under the table. "Before we eat," I said, "I want to share something." I clicked play. It was the audio from the camera. Just 2 voices. Paige and Colin, laughing, teasing, whispers. She doesn't even notice. Let's keep it that way. "You're awful. You like it. Maybe." Dead silence at the table. My mom looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. Erica was stone-faced. Paige? Pale? Colin? Frozen. I stared at both of them. "You don't have to say anything," I said. That said it for you. The hardest part wasn't catching them. It was realizing they didn't feel sorry. After I played the audio at the table, Paige stood up first. "Ava, I can explain." I held my hand up. "Don't." Colin stayed seated. Didn't even try to stop her. Didn't even look at me. I should have screamed. Thrown something. Cried. But I didn't. I just sat down and started cutting the pie. Calm. Quiet. Like it was any other night. Because something in me had snapped the moment they laughed together behind my back. And whatever love I'd had for either of them, it broke clean. My mom stayed behind after everyone left. She stood at the sink, washing dishes she hadn't used, avoiding my eyes. "You sure you want to do this?" she asked quietly. "Do what?" "Kick your sister out. End things with Colin. Just throw it all away?" I dried a glass and set it down carefully. "I'm not throwing anything away." "They did." She sighed. "Paige has never had it easy. You've always been the strong one." I turned sharply. "I'm not doing this with you." Her mouth opened, then shut. She grabbed her purse and left without another word. I locked the door behind her. Colin didn't come home that night, or the next. His things were still in the closet, his shoes still by the door, but it felt like he was already gone. And Paige? She ghosted. No apology. No texts. Heck, no awkward let's talk. Just silence. Good. Erica came over 2 days later with a plan. "You want to sell the condo or kick them both out?" "I want my life back," I said. She grinned. "That's the spirit." We started with the lease. The condo was in my name. I'd bought it years before Colin moved in. He was technically just a guest, which meant I could legally ask him to leave. No notice required. And Paige, she wasn't on anything. Not even the utility bills. I left them both notes. Colin's was taped to the closet. "Take your things and leave." The locks changed Saturday. No discussion. Paige's was even shorter. "Don't come back." I didn't bother being polite. Colin came by while I was at work. I know because I watched the camera footage that night. He walked in, stared at the note, then opened the closet and started packing. He didn't take everything. He left the mug I got him from our first trip, the hoodie I always wore, and a photo of us at a lake in Whistler. I deleted the footage when it was over. Paige texted me the next morning. "You're being dramatic. We didn't even do anything physical." "You didn't need to." "You're throwing away your whole family over a misunderstanding." No. I'm setting a boundary." She didn't reply. 3 weeks passed. The apartment felt hollow at first. Too quiet. Too clean. Too still. But slowly, it started feeling like mine again. I bought new pillows. Moved the couch, deleted old photos. Erica helped me repaint the second bedroom. We played music, danced while we painted, and laughed until our arms hurt. "I'm proud of you," she said. I smiled. "I think I'm proud of me too." Then Colin emailed me. Not a text, not a call, an email. Subject: "I messed up. It was long. Too long. He said he missed me, that it wasn't what I thought, that Paige was vulnerable and he just wanted to help, that it was emotional confusion, not betrayal, that he thought I'd understand." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I clicked delete. No response. No drama. Just silence. That's how it ends sometimes. A month later, I ran into Paige. She was at a coffee shop near my office. Hair shorter, face thinner, same fake smile. I almost walked past her, but she called my name. "Ava." I stopped. She looked nervous, like she wasn't sure if I'd swing or hug her. I said nothing. "You look good," she said, biting her lip. "Better." I raised an eyebrow. "Just say what you came to say." She sighed. "I messed up. I know that. I was lonely, and Colin was there, and I thought if I could just feel wanted again, maybe I'd feel less broken." I stared at her. "You didn't just steal my boyfriend, Paige. You burned the last bridge you had." "I didn't mean to hurt you, but you did." She nodded, eyes glassy. "Can we ever be okay again?" I looked down at my coffee, then back at her. "No." Then I walked away. I don't tell this story to get pity. I don't even tell it because it's that unique. Women get betrayed by people they love every day. I tell it because if someone had told me back then that I'd survive it, thrive even, I wouldn't have believed them. I do now. And not because of who I lost, but because of who I found when the dust settled. Me. I thought the end of a relationship would feel dramatic, loud, explosive, maybe cathartic, but it was none of that. It was just quiet. The last time I saw Paige, I didn't cry. And when I deleted Colin's email, I didn't hesitate. That was the part no one prepares you for. How easy it is to let go when people show you who they really are. The next few months were strange. I was used to the noise of someone else brushing their teeth while I did my skincare routine, of the second glass clinking when I poured wine, of shared takeout orders and binge-watched shows with commentary. Now, it was just me. And silence. But silence isn't bad when you make peace with it. It becomes sacred. Erica kept me afloat. She came over for wine nights, sent me memes during work, forced me to go on walks even when I didn't want to leave the couch. "I'm not letting you rot into a throw blanket and crime documentaries," she said. She was the only person who never once questioned me, never played devil's advocate, never asked me to reconsider. She just showed up. My job got better too. With all the emotional clutter gone, I actually started enjoying it again. I got promoted to lead designer 2 months later, bought a new monitor, redesigned the spare room into a home office. It felt good, normal, stable. Then came something I didn't expect. Peace. I wasn't rushing, I wasn't rebuilding for anyone else, I wasn't trying to make someone stay. I was just living. And for the first time in years, I wasn't performing. Around that time, Robbie, Colin's old coworker, messaged me on Instagram. He'd always been chill, a bit of a goof, but kind. We'd stayed mutuals, even after the breakup. His message was simple. "Robbie, weird question. You still have the name of that Thai place we loved? I've been craving that green curry." I almost didn't reply, but then I remembered how he always used to order too much just so I could have leftovers. So I sent the name. He replied with a thumbs up and a joke about him still ordering for 3. Then, a day later, he messaged again. "Robbie, wanna grab lunch sometime? My treat." We met up that weekend. Neutral ground, downtown food court. He didn't ask about Colin, didn't mention Paige. We just talked. About work, about shows, about how terrible we both were at remembering birthdays, and for 2 hours, I forgot about the past. It was nice. Over the next few weeks, we kept talking. Not dating. Not flirting. Just talking. And that was enough. He was safe. Not in the way Colin had pretended to be, but in the way someone is when they've seen your worst and still talk to you like you're whole. One night, while walking back to my apartment from a late coffee run with Robbie, I stopped at the corner and looked up. The city lights blurred the stars, but I imagined them anyway. And I thought about something Erica had said to me months before. "You gave them everything, Ava. But now you get to keep something they never took, yourself." At the time, it sounded like a motivational poster. Now it felt like the truth. Colin emailed me again, once more. This time it was shorter. Subject, just want to say sorry. I didn't even open it. I archived it with the rest of the noise I'd left behind. As for Paige, she moved out west, according to mutual friends. Tried starting fresh, good for her. But we haven't spoken since the coffee shop. I don't hate her. I don't wish her harm. I just don't need her in my life. Some bonds don't need mending. They just need to be buried. People think betrayal breaks you all at once. But really, it's a slow burn. 1,000 tiny cuts until you finally stop bleeding for people who never bandaged you. And when you stop bleeding, you start breathing. I never expected to find peace at the end of this story. I thought I'd be bitter, cold, closed off. But the funny thing about pain is that if you sit with it long enough, it becomes part of your story, not your whole story. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe I'll fall in love again. Maybe I won't. But I do know this. No one will ever get a version of me that doesn't remember what it took to get here. And that version? She's finally enough. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. If you want to share your stories, please comment below. Additionally, what is your opinion on the poster's decision?